Hello and welcome to Everyday Woman here on KTN Home. My name is Yusta Segete and we are so pleased you are tuned in to today's episode. Our guest today uses her background in community development to fill in the gap of menstrual hygiene and reproductive health. Her experience with menstruation during her adolescent years gave her the focus to do what she is doing currently. Now let's go have a conversation with Milka Juma, the founder of Old Face Initiative. Well, hello Milka.
Hi Yusta.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, looking forward to an exciting conversation. But of course, would want to know who Milka is, 3 words that best describe you and what you do on a daily.
3 words that best describe me. I'm fun-loving,
Yep.
I'm bold, and I'm graced by God.
Ah.
Yeah, those are my 3 words. What I do, I'm a communication practitioner. I actually studied communications. I have a degree from Moy University. That is my background, so I consult in communications. But I'm also an advocacy champion, and I champion for menstrual hygiene management.
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful. Hence the badge there.
period positive.
We
I am
like
period
it.
positive.
Yeah. And that's what we are going to discuss
Yeah.
today. Tell us, what kind of a child were you and where did you grow up?
I was a very talkative child, still am. Storyteller mwenyewe.
Yeah.
I grew up in Eastlands, an area called the MOW, Ministry of Works. My parents work in the government, so that is where we grew up. I and my sibling, I have 1 sibling. Yeah, so I went to school in Church Army Academy, which is just a few meters from Bahati area, which is where MOW is. And it was pretty much a very normal childhood from class 1 to class 8. I'm very committed, so
Wow.
I was a very disciplined child.
We like it. Yeah, you ought to, I mean.
So took my studies there till my class 8 levels, did my KCPE, then went to Lugulu Girls High School.
Okay.
That is in Western Kenya. Completed school till Form 4 in 1 school again. Went to Moy University after that. Then that is where I got my degree in communications. And here I am, a student of the world right now.
We like it. So you say you were a talkative child.
Quite.
Did that change when you transitioned to secondary and campus?
It depends. So I was very talkative, of course, with friends,
Yeah.
family, very fun-loving, playful, of course, and still disciplined, obviously. So that's why I'm here. But it transitioned when I hit adolescence, especially in high school, because it was a very new environment for me. And the school I was in was very strict, at least in my experience, coming from a day school in primary to a boarding school in Western Kenya. And if you studied in Western Kenya, you know the schools there don't joke. So it was quite a shift in environment for me. So I was a bit, maybe the teachers can describe me as quiet, but friends, I was still very talkative and outgoing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, still am.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So tell me, what are some of the values that were instilled in you when you were younger that you grew up with?
Patience, patience, patience. That is from my mother. Consistency, be consistent in what you're doing.
Okay.
And of course, prayerful. I come from a Christian background, and when I say I'm graced, it's because it's by God's grace that I'm here, and those are things that have carried and pulled me through my life. Yeah, to where I am.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, you are so in touch. It feels like you're so in touch with yourself. Maybe did you discover your talents and abilities at that young age? And if you did, what are some of the things that you indulged yourself in?
Talents. I'm still looking for my talents. I'm still looking for my talents. But abilities, I believe I can communicate well. I used to really watch Tyra Banks' show, and that is where I started my passion in communication. You know, let's talk, and I could see the power in communication. You know, what it can do, what it can transform. You know, a lot is lost because of lack of proper communication. So that is why I can put as much as ability is concerned. But in terms of talent, I'm still searching. I'm still searching for my talent. Maybe I can cook. Some people will differ.
Cooking a talent?
You should taste my meals,
really?
my stews.
We can do this after the show, right?
Take it to come.
Well, interesting. Well, you mentioned that you studied communication, but as we speak now, you are doing something different.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that and how did it happen?
So yeah, I studied communication in school, and I am doing menstrual hygiene management right now. That is what I'm advocating for, and I'm a champion for proper practices in relation to the same matters.
Okay.
What changed is the gap I saw in my experience after campus. I went into the communities, and even during campus, I got an opportunity to volunteer with the VIOs Society in Kenya, and it really put me out in the communities, and it impacted heavily on what my view of life is, how I think, how I feel, and I felt I can use communication in development to aid development in our communities. How so? This is by simplifying. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of gap because of lack of proper communication. So I thought, how can we bring change in communities using communications? So I took the tool that I have, whatever I studied. Again, I believe education is not necessarily passing exams, but it is changing you, changing how you think, how you view things. So I had a different perspective, and I was able to use what I've studied and apply it in real life. Yeah.
Okay, we see that, but of course there was an influence to that, because I understand you had a struggle with your menstrual cycle during your adolescent years. Perhaps you can take us through that. What exactly were you struggling with?
So when I got my periods, of course, my mom had prepared me for what to expect. She had given me the products. She had told me where to get them, how to use them, just in case it happens when she's not around. And as nature would have it, you know, sarcasm, it happened. The irony is it actually happened the way she thought. She wasn't around, and I got my periods, but I knew my way around. But then nobody prepared me for the pain, and that this thing lasts forever. You know, it's not just a one-day thing. It is a lifetime experience.
But she hadn't talked to you about the pain?
She didn't talk to me about the pain because I think she didn't think it would just come yet. I got my first period when I was in primary, and I don't think she knew it's going to come like right now. So I started experiencing pain, and the cramps were just something else, mood swings, and you don't know what's happening to your body. Obviously, I talked to her about it, and she reminds me of a statement I told her. She nowadays laughs about it. She's like, do you know you told me you wish you were a boy? There's a day you told me, Mom, I wish I was a boy.
It was that bad?
It was that bad. And she remembers it, and she said it really hurt her feelings. But she encouraged me through it. She took me through it. She really held my hand. Of course, with the community of my aunts and everyone else in my family. My dad is also very supportive. He may not know the details of my experiences, but he's very supportive. So that experience, and now moving on to high school, where nobody actually tells you anything. Nobody provides. We were bathing with cold water. You know, and that is actually not conducive for someone who has such painful cramps because of the contractions. You know, you feel your body cannot take it anymore, but nobody really cares, if I can say that, during our time. I don't know if that has changed right now. So it was really a space where it wasn't a safe space for me, and I really struggled with accepting my periods and actually embracing. And when you talk of period positive, we don't talk of loving the experience. We talk of acknowledging everything that comes with it, humanizing everything that comes with it, and embracing that experience and seeing how we can make it better for ourselves and the next person.
Absolutely. Now, I can only imagine that you were not prepared, but then this is something that you have to go through on a monthly basis. So then how did you brace yourself to ensure that, you know what, I have to deal with this every other month?
It was kaende kaende. You adapt the slogan. You just brace it. You just brace it. What choice do you have? You can't be a boy. Like I couldn't be a boy. I loved being a woman in every other way, but this one aspect for the 7 days or 5 days of the week where you know you feel you have headaches, you learn how to embrace it. And one of the things that really helped me was a very good support system. As I mentioned, I have my mom, my aunts who are really there for me. So, and my cousins who we stayed with. So it was the support system. Do you have cravings? indulge. How are you feeling? And my mom used to come, when she comes to visit me in high school, she used to ask, how are you feeling? How are your experiences? And I used to write letters to my mom and back home, and I tell her, this is how I feel, this is how I'm feeling. And she'd bring me proper painkillers, you know, take me for checkups. So it was the support that actually took me through it. And I had to be bold and face what is ahead. You have to be bold. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is why you're here today. She says she was bold enough to even have a conversation with her mother, her cousins, because it was much needed. And exactly so, that is what gave her the focus to do what she is doing today. We are going to take a short commercial break here on Everyday Woman. Stay tuned because we are coming back with more. Hello and welcome back from the break. You are tuned in to Everyday Woman here on KTN Home, and today we are engaging Milka Juma, the founder of Bold Face Initiative, BPI abbreviation.
Yes.
So there was a story behind you starting this initiative.
Yes.
Tell us, when did you start and what are your key values and focus?
When I sat down and decided I'm doing this, it was late 2019. After getting out of my formal employment, I had the space now to do what I wanted to do. So I felt, let me go through with this. I did some bit of research and decided, okay, yeah, I can roll it out. But I wanted to be serious about it, so I looked for mentors in the same sector, and after being mentored well enough and doing my research properly, we launched in August 2020. That is when we had our first event, our first program, our first rollout. Yeah, so what inspired me was, of course, as I mentioned, my adolescence experience, but also the need in the communities. I am a volunteer also, and I did a lot of community work prior starting Boldface. So we launched in 2020, and our main focus areas is menstrual hygiene management and, of course, reproductive health management. So menstrual health management, we focus on all areas, which include addressing the poverty. And when you talk about poverty, it's not just the lack of sanitary towels, but poverty in terms of lack of support from the systems, from the community. We talk of lack of the product, of course, due to different reasons, which could be affordability or accessibility infrastructure. We talk of lack of information, you know, poverty in terms of information. There's no information. So we really focus on providing accurate information, because that is what informs actually stigma. So as we are breaking stigma and creating period positive environments, this is what we focus on. On sexual health, of course, we focus on good practices, responsible sexual activities, if I can call it that.
Okay, very intense. But tell us, how was it like starting all this? Did you have mentors? Did you reach out to people to assist you?
Luckily, I was surrounded by people who are already in this space.
Okay.
So it was really easy for me to access mentors. And I reached out to friends who are in the same space and asked them, you know, I want to be serious about this. I'm really passionate about women empowerment. So this is women health empowerment. And how do I empower women? You know, how do I focus? How do I start? Where do I start from? What do I register? Where do I go? How do I ensure I have a sustainable program? Because I don't want to start something that is alive today and tomorrow is dead. So ensuring that commitment, you have to have people you're accountable to, people who are putting you in check, keeping you in check, showing you the ropes. So as much as I did it by myself, I still owe it to the people who really worked with me, still are working with me, and the group of 10 individuals who actually partnered with me, came together with me, you know, people who are in the leadership of Boldface, and we're doing this together. So yeah, there's a team and there are people behind it.
Okay, interesting. And of course, you started this because of the experience that you had at at a young age, and I'm made to understand that you had actually even started doing this way back in campus. So you could take us back to the days and how it helped you to smoothly transition and focus on it fully.
So when I was doing my attachment, I finished my attachment, and my boss at that time, he's called, shout out to Steven Mashua, he's actually of Pick and Spices right now, introduced me to this organization that was having an event, a volunteer event, and he's like, Milka, please just do this. He was out of the country. Please go and do this. And I went, did it, communication. And after we did it with a team of friends who were doing it, I actually got inspired. I'm like, you mean there's a lot of need in the community, and the space invited us to more community work. Milka, come join us for these community activities. So as I was participating and volunteering my time during my long holiday, I realized I value whatever I'm doing. I feel very fulfilled. I feel like I am being the change I want to see. Okay. So took it from there.
Now, taking that to what you are doing today, how is it like, and what's your typical day or typical giving back to the society or working with this community to ensure you do what you want to do and to fill in this gap?
So at Boldface, we have various programs. We impact in different ways. We have school for school programs. One objective is the mass education, where we use school for school programs. As school, we go, train, educate. One thing about us I must mention is we don't focus only on slum areas or the less privileged kids in terms of accessing education. We believe MHM education should be privileged to everyone. Everyone should get this information. So we realize kids who are in rather privileged, if I can use that word, schools really don't have anyone talking to them about these things. People assume they know. Just because they don't have the products, people assume they know. So we talk to these kids, we go, we have a program, we take like a whole year with the programs. Maximum of 3 programs, 3 times, with the 3 terms. So programs and education is one of our key areas. Of course, volunteer training. We realized also a gap in the trainers. I can come and train you according to my beliefs only. This is a very sensitive topic. And we need to have the message that is going out, be very empowering and a very safe, environment. So how do we create this environment? By having trainings for volunteers. So all our volunteers are trained, and we offer the trainings even to the public, not just our volunteers. If you go to an institution, we train even the teachers, we train the community members. If it is at a school, we go to churches. We also focus on, of course, policy implementation. There's the MHM policy that was launched actually in 2020. That is a very big step by the Kenyan government. And through those policies, it's a guideline, it's a set of guidelines, a very beautiful policy that when implemented and when taken in well, is going to change the game in terms of menstrual hygiene management.
One would wonder then, what are the impacts of volunteering and how do you measure both formal and informal types of volunteering?
As we engage our volunteers, we have a pool of about 50 people who are volunteering with us. Some who are under the student volunteering program and others who are actually post-students, and they're just the oldest being around 50 years of age, and the youngest being a toddler. But how do we measure? We have impact measurements. Of course, we have a monitoring and evaluation document with us that was, developed by an expert, and we look at it every other time. It shows us how are we going. We take data. We have to take data everywhere we go. We have to take data, sit with this data, qualify it if it's a qualitative data or quantitative. Qualitative in terms of measuring the moral values that have been, impacted to the audience. This is a shift in behavior. That is how you measure. What was the shift in behavior, the shift in perception. And then when it comes to the quantitative, of course, how many people have we reached? How many people have we reached? So this is a result of volunteers. As I mentioned, our organization is volunteer-led. Nobody is paid in our organization. So people have given their time formally. Everyone volunteering in our organization is actually a formal volunteer. We shortlist people, we recruit. So it's a formal engagement. So people who are volunteering with us can actually sit and get this data and say, oh, I went to this program, I impacted 50 people. This is the change in behavior. We issue questionnaires to see the change in behavior. So you can quantify it. At the national level, of course, we have organizations like the Volunteer Involving Organization Society, which is very, very key in contributing to volunteerism in Kenya.
Interesting. And from where I sit, and you saying all this that you're doing is a cause out of, volunteering and what have you. I beg to ask, then where do you get your energy to do this thing every other day without either feeling like you're giving up or, you know, feeling like, you know what, I think I'm gonna shift what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there are those days. There are those days you ask yourself, who sent me? Who sent me? Who sent me? You know, you have to go through all that.
Yeah.
We are human, so there are days you ask yourself, why am I here? But every single day, including today, I get a reason why I'm doing it. Today I was coming, you know, to meet you.
Yeah.
I just in the streets, and there was this lady who could not wake up. It was early in the morning, and you know the askaris are telling her, wake up, where masaa zimeisha, and she couldn't wake up. And I'm observing.
She was sleeping by the road.
She was sleeping by the road. Yeah, it was, you know, over the night. Now she's supposed to wake up with her kids, and I realized she doesn't want to wake up. She doesn't want to get up, rather. And okay, you know, I'm like, I have to stand here. Nobody has to harass her. Let me just stand here to just, you know, look out. And I realized she's actually soiled her clothes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
She has soiled her clothes, and I look at her. Of course, I feel embarrassed for her because this is indignifying. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I'm starting to think, and I'm like, what can I do to help her? And since I'm running late and there's no time, you know, I walk to her and I'm like, I understand why you don't want to get up. It's because of this and this. No problem. You have something to cover yourself with. That's fine. Here is some cash that I had on me. Go sort yourself out if you can. What do you have and what do you need? That in itself is a reason. If I was giving up yesterday, today I can't give up because there's still need. Every single day there's still need. We are also very inclusive in our conversations. So every time I'm with a guy and we're having this conversation, maybe at work or wherever, and I'm like, you know, I'm not feeling well, and it's like, oh, it's that time of the month. It's an opportunity to have this conversation and educate this person. It necessarily doesn't have to be that time of the month for me to behave in a certain way. I am a human being. Yeah, there are so many things that can affect me. So it's an opportunity to have this conversation and continue breaking the stigma that comes with this conversation and the myths, because there's the stigma and there's the myth.
So much so, even during this time and era. But it's good that we have these conversations ongoing, and we are so glad that that is what keeps you going every other day. Finally, maybe a word of encouragement to anyone watching this and wondering, how do I get myself to do that? And someone maybe that has helped other people in that situation, what would you say to them?
Encouragement, if you want to get into this community space.
Of volunteering, giving back to the society, or doing exactly what you're doing.
Just start. Just start. Literally, identify a need and start. Be the change you want to see. Cliche as it sounds, there's a lot of impact and difference that you create and you make in people's lives, in your own life, that you will actually not realize until you sit down at the end of the day or later. Then you look back and you're like, okay. And inspiring stories always come back to us. You sorted out someone, you know. And of course, we wish we are not in a society where people lack. It's not like we are thriving in people's needs. But what you can do, step in that gap. Volunteer in any way you can volunteer. Do whatever you want to do. Don't be embarrassed. Don't usiogope ati haina pesa ama iko na pesa. You'll get the monies. We are here. I mean, you get a way through. So the grace covers you and you continue doing it, and no one is better than the other. We are all here qualifying as human beings, so we all deserve the opportunity to actually live at the most dignifying level that we can live. So start, go forth, do whatever you can do, and do it boldly.
That's about it, and do it boldly. That is Everyday Woman, and we have had a very insightful conversation with Milka Juma, and we hope you had one or two, three, or many things to learn from this episode. That's it from us. My name is Yusta Segete. Join us next week here on KTN Home.